The screen fades in with the sound of a roaring crowd, but it quickly cuts to silence. A young boy stands in a small, dimly lit apartment, looking at a single suitcase on the floor. His name is Dwayne Douglas Johnson, but nobody back then could have imagined that this boy would one day become The Rock, one of the most electrifying superstars in the world. Born on May 2nd, 1972, in Hayward, California, Dwayne's life wasn't always bright lights and Hollywood fame. His father, Rocky Johnson, was a professional wrestler traveling from city to city, fighting for a paycheck and for respect in a sport that wasn't always kind to men of color. His mother, Otta, was the rock of the family, holding them together through every financial storm. Dwayne grew up watching his father wrestle in smoky arenas, but he also saw the struggles behind the curtain, the injuries, the empty pockets, the nights when rent was hard to pay. Life wasn't easy. At just 14 years old, Dwayne watched as his family was evicted from their home. He would later say that moment changed him forever. "I remember my mom sitting on the bed, crying," Dwayne once shared, his voice heavy with memory. "I made a promise that day. I was going to change our life." But the road to success didn't start with wrestling. Dwayne was a big kid, 6'4" by high school, but he often got into trouble. Fights, suspensions, brushes with the law. "I was just angry," he admitted years later. "Angry at the world, angry at myself." One day, after another fight, a teacher pulled him aside and asked him a simple question. "Do you want to spend your life in jail, or do you want to do something great?" That moment became a turning point. Dwayne turned his anger into fuel. He started playing football, channeling all that rage into the game. And soon, he discovered he was good, really good. Football became his ticket to a better future, earning him a scholarship to the University of Miami. But what Dwayne didn't know was that life was about to test him in ways that would break most people and shape him into the man the world would one day cheer for. The dream that shattered. The roaring crowd of Miami Hurricanes fills the screen. The energy is electric. Dwayne Johnson, now a towering young man, steps onto the field in his orange and green jersey. This was his moment, the moment he believed would change everything. Football wasn't just his sport for Dwayne. It was his lifeline, his escape from poverty, his promise to his mother that he would make their lives better. At the University of Miami, Dwayne played defensive tackle and became part of one of the most dominant college football programs in the country. He was surrounded by future NFL legends, guys like Warren Sapp, and every practice felt like a war zone where only the toughest survived. Dwayne thrived on that competition. "I was ready to outwork everyone," he would later say. But then, fate struck. A devastating back injury during his college career forced him to the sidelines. For months, he watched helplessly as his teammates played, and his dream of being an NFL star started to slip away. Still, he fought back, recovered, and returned to the field. But something had changed. When draft day came, Dwayne's name wasn't called. No NFL contract, no dream come true. For a young man who had put everything into football, it was crushing. He got a small shot in the Canadian Football League, signing with the Calgary Stampeders. But even there, life had other plans. Just 2 months in, he was cut from the team. And then came rock bottom. He returned home with only $7 in his pocket. Imagine that for a moment. You've done everything right. You've worked, sweated, bled, and now you're sitting on your mom's couch with $7 to your name. Wondering if you're a failure, Dwayne admitted that this was one of the darkest moments of his life. I didn't know what I was going to do. I felt defeated. But here's the thing about Dwayne Johnson. He doesn't stay down for long. It was during this moment of despair that his father stepped in. "Son," Rocky Johnson said, "if you want, I can train you. You can try wrestling." Dwayne didn't know it then, but that conversation would ignite a fire that would take him from $7 to superstardom, becoming The Rock. The sound of a bell echoes in an empty wrestling gym. Dwayne Johnson stands in the corner, drenched in sweat, watching his father demonstrate moves that had once made him a wrestling legend. This was a new world for Dwayne. No football pads, no roaring stadiums, just a ring, a dream, and a chance at redemption. Training was brutal. Wrestling wasn't just about strength. It was about psychology, storytelling, connecting with the crowd. Dwayne had to learn everything from scratch. How to run the ropes, how to take bumps, how to make it look real while protecting your opponent. "I was terrible at first," Dwayne admitted years later with a laugh. But he didn't quit. Day after day, he trained until his body ached, determined to carve out a new future. In 1996, Dwayne made his WWF debut under the name Rocky Maivia, a combination of his father and grandfather's ring names. He wore bright blue gear, smiled constantly, and was promoted as the perfect babyface hero. But the crowd hated it. Fans chanted "Die, Rocky, die" every time he stepped into the ring. Imagine that, your big break, your first shot at fame, and the audience is booing you out of the building. "It crushed me," Dwayne later said. "I thought my career was over before it even began." But instead of giving up, Dwayne took a risk. He reinvented himself. Gone was the smiling Rocky Maivia. In came a new persona, brash, confident, dripping with charisma. He called himself The Rock and began to talk like no one else in wrestling. Finally, The Rock has come back, became his signature catchphrase, and the crowd went wild. With every promo, every eyebrow raise, every electrifying match, The Rock became the most charismatic star in the business. He wasn't just wrestling, he was performing, entertaining, owning every second in the ring. Soon, he became a multiple-time WWF champion and one of the faces of the Attitude Era. Alongside legends like Stone Cold Steve Austin, the boy who once sat on a couch with $7 was now headlining arenas, selling out pay-per-views, and becoming one of the most beloved figures in wrestling history. But this was just the beginning. Hollywood was waiting, and it was about to change his life all over again. From ring to red carpet, the crowd's roar fades, replaced by the quiet buzz of a Hollywood film set. Dwayne Johnson stands in front of a camera, no longer wearing wrestling boots, but stepping into a new arena, acting. It wasn't an easy choice to leave the WWE spotlight, where he was adored, but Dwayne wanted more. He wanted to prove to himself and the world that he wasn't just a wrestler. He was an entertainer who could dominate any stage. His first big break came in 2001 when he played the Scorpion, King in The Mummy Returns. The film exploded at the box office, and Hollywood took notice. Soon, Dwayne starred in the Scorpion King spin-off, which became a surprise hit and made him the highest-paid first-time leading actor in history. But it wasn't all smooth sailing from there. Transitioning from wrestling to acting was a gamble, and not everyone believed he could do it. Early in his film career, critics questioned his range. launch. Some movies flopped, and there were moments when he wondered if he'd made a mistake leaving wrestling behind. But just like every other chapter of his life, Dwayne refused to quit. He worked tirelessly to reinvent himself again, cutting down his massive wrestling physique to become more versatile, learning from directors, studying acting, and taking roles that pushed him outside of his comfort zone. From comedy The Rundown, Be Cool, to action Walking Tall, Doom, to family movies The Game Plan, Dwayne slowly built his reputation as Hollywood's most bankable star, and then came Fast and Furious. When he joined the franchise as Luke Hobbs, everything changed. His presence revitalized the series, turning it into a global phenomenon. Dwayne became a guaranteed box office draw, leading massive hits like Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, San Andreas, Rampage, and Mona, where millions of kids around the world sang along to your welcome. But what truly set him apart was his work ethic. Be the hardest worker in the room, he always said, and he lived by it. 4 a.m. workouts, strict discipline, relentless focus. Hollywood wasn't just a career for Dwayne. It was his proving ground. The boy who once felt like a failure was now one of the most successful actors on earth, inspiring millions. But beyond the fame and fortune, there was still the man, the father, the husband, the human being who never forgot where he came from, the man behind the legend. The flashing cameras and red carpets fade, and we find Dwayne Johnson sitting quietly in his home gym, talking about life, not fame. Behind the giant muscles, the million-dollar smile, and the blockbuster movies is a man who never forgot the nights of struggle, the eviction notice on the door, and the $7 in his pocket. Dwayne is open about his battles with depression. After football ended and his dreams seemed shattered, he admitted there were days he couldn't get out of bed. "I know what it's like to feel hopeless," he said in an interview, "but I also know that those moments can become the very fuel that pushes you to greatness." His family remains his anchor. His mother, Otter, often appears in his social media posts, and Dwayne never misses a chance to thank her for her sacrifices. "Everything I am is because of her strength," he says. His love for his daughters is just as powerful, Simone, Jasmine, and Tiana, and he often shares moments of dancing with them, singing to them, or simply being daddy. Despite being one of the busiest men in the world, Dwayne is known for his kindness and humility. From surprising fans with personal visits to giving back to communities, he embodies the idea that success means nothing if you can't lift others with you. He often reminds his fans, "It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice." Today, Dwayne Johnson is more than an actor or a former wrestler. He's a symbol of perseverance, resilience, and reinvention. He built a career on hard work, turned failures into fuel, and inspired millions to believe that no matter how dark life gets, there is always a way forward. And that is the final lesson he leaves us with. No matter where you start, no matter how many times life knocks you down, you have the power to rise. You have the power to rewrite your story. Remember where you started, Dwayne says, because that hunger, that struggle, it's what will drive you to become who you were meant to be. The boy with $7 became one of the most inspiring figures of our generation. And if he can do it, so can you. The power of relentless drive. Even at the peak of his success, Dwayne Johnson never slowed down. The world sees him as a superstar, a global icon, a man who seems to have it all. But behind the lights, the cameras, and the fame, there's a relentless drive, a hunger that never fades. Every morning, he rises before dawn, pushes his body through grueling workouts, and sets goals that most would consider impossible. Dwayne often talks about the power of consistency and discipline. You want to be the best? You've got to outwork everybody else every single day, he says. He doesn't just preach, he lives it. From blockbuster films to his business ventures, including his tequila brand and production company, he tackles each challenge with the same intensity he had as a kid in that small apartment, wondering if life would ever turn in his favor. But the journey isn't just about physical or financial achievements. Dwayne's story is also about emotional strength. He's open about the importance of mental health, sharing that even at the height of his career, he faces pressures and doubts. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. But you can't let fear stop you from stepping into your destiny. He reminds millions of fans across the globe. He also emphasizes gratitude. Despite his fame, Dwayne remains humble, acknowledging the mentors, family, and friends who supported him along the way. He often says, respect the people who lift you up, respect the struggle that shaped you, and never forget the moments that made you feel small. They're the ones that teach you to stand tall. Today, Dwayne Johnson isn't just an actor, a former wrestler, or a businessman. He's a living example of resilience, reinvention, and relentless pursuit. His life teaches us that success isn't linear. It's messy, full of failures, setbacks, heartbreaks, and moments of doubt. But it's also full of second chances, opportunities, and the power to rise stronger every single time. And as he looks into the camera, smiling with that signature warmth, he leaves us with this undeniable truth. Greatness isn't given. It's earned through struggle, through sweat, through courage, and above all, through refusing to quit, no matter what life throws at you. The boy who once had $7 now inspires millions to dream bigger, work harder, and never stop believing in themselves. And that, more than anything, is The Rock's true legacy. Legacy of a titan. The camera pans over a stadium filled with cheering fans, then cuts to a quiet moment in a classroom where a young student watches a motivational video of Dwayne Johnson. That is the essence of his legacy, the ability to inspire across arenas, oceans, and generations. Dwayne isn't just a man who conquered wrestling and Hollywood. He's a symbol of what's possible when relentless drive meets purpose. Even now, at the peak of his career, Dwayne dedicates himself to uplifting others. He mentors aspiring actors, athletes, and entrepreneurs, constantly reminding them that hard work is non-negotiable. But so is integrity. Your reputation is everything, he says. Be the person people can trust, not just the person people admire. Philanthropy is another pillar of his journey. Through his foundation, Dwayne has given hope and opportunity to countless children and families, providing resources for education, health, and community growth. Every act of giving is an extension of the lessons he learned in his own struggles, that true wealth isn't measured in money, but in impact. And then there's the personal side, the moments the world rarely sees. Dwayne is a devoted father, taking time to dance with his daughters, share life lessons, and show that vulnerability is strength. He embraces the fact that real power lies not in fame or fortune, but in connection, empathy, and the ability to lift others while you rise. As his story comes full circle, the lessons are clear. Failure is never final. Setbacks are stepping stones, and every challenge is an opportunity to redefine yourself. The boy who once had $7, who faced eviction, heartbreak, and public rejection, became a global titan not by luck, but by refusing to quit, by constantly evolving, and by inspiring millions to believe in their own potential. Dwayne Johnson's journey reminds us that greatness isn't about being the strongest, the richest, or the most famous. It's about being resilient, relentless, and responsible. It's about transforming pain into purpose, struggle into strength, and dreams into reality. So, to anyone watching this story, remember this. No matter where you start, no matter how many times life knocks you down, you can rise, you can conquer, you can become the hero of your own story. And if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's life teaches us anything, it's that with courage, discipline, and heart, there are no limits to what you can achieve. The grind that never sleeps. The sun hasn't even risen, but Dwayne Johnson's alarm has already gone off. While the world is still asleep, he's in the gym, lifting, running, and pushing his body beyond limits most people wouldn't even attempt. This is the secret that fuels his unstoppable rise, a mindset built on discipline, focus, and an unwavering refusal to settle for average. Dwayne often says, success isn't overnight. It's the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. And that's exactly how he lives. Even as a global superstar, he doesn't rely solely on talent or fame. He relies on work ethic, preparation, and the kind of consistency that turns ordinary humans into legends. From meticulously planning his workouts and meals to memorizing scripts down to the last line, The Rock treats every day as a new battlefield to conquer. But it's not just about the grind. It's about purpose. Every drop of sweat, every early morning, every physical and emotional challenge is fueled by something bigger than himself. His family, his fans, and the example he wants to set for future generations drive him forward. I want people to know that hard work pays off, he says. I want kids who feel powerless to see someone who started with nothing and became everything they dreamed, even in moments of exhaustion or doubt. Dwayne reminds himself of the value of perseverance. He openly shares that life can be brutal, that failure and rejection are part of the process. But quitting is never an option. It's this mindset that allowed him to pivot from a failed football career to wrestling stardom, then to Hollywood, and finally to business ventures and philanthropy, all while maintaining authenticity and humility. And it's not just about his own success. Dwayne's grind inspires millions of people worldwide to push past limits, embrace discipline, and believe in themselves. He proves that it's possible to dream big, work relentlessly, and still stay grounded. The lesson is simple but powerful. Greatness doesn't come to the passive. It comes to those who are willing to fight for it every single day. The boy who once had $7 now wakes up before dawn, not to show off, but to remind himself and the world that limits are illusions. In the life of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the grind never sleeps, and neither should your ambition. Inspiring a world, Dwayne often speaks directly to his audience, reminding them that greatness is within reach. You don't have to be perfect, he says. You just have to try. You just have to show up. And you have to keep going. Even when it's hard, this philosophy resonates worldwide because it's authentic. It comes from a man who goals been knocked down repeatedly, from eviction notices to career rejections, and yet rose stronger each time. Leadership is another hallmark of Dwayne Johnson's journey. On every movie set, in every wrestling ring, in every business venture, he leads by example. He doesn't demand respect, he earns it through his actions. Crew members, co-stars, and employees all know that working with him means giving your best, embracing discipline, and believing in a vision larger than yourself. His charisma isn't just entertainment. It's a blueprint for inspiring others. Philanthropy amplifies his influence. From supporting children's hospitals to mentoring young athletes, Dwayne uses his platform to uplift communities. Every act of giving reflects the lessons he learned from struggle. That the true measure of success is how many people you bring along with you. Even his social media presence is motivational. Millions follow his daily routines, workouts, and personal insights, finding inspiration to chase their own dreams. Dwayne's words, whether about mental health, perseverance, or gratitude, resonate because they are grounded in lived experience, not empty promises. The story of Dwayne Johnson teaches a profound truth. Leadership, influence, and legacy are earned through consistency, humility, and relentless effort. One man who started with $7 in his pocket now inspires a world to rise, to fight, and to believe in themselves. And in every arena, every screen, and every heart he touches, the message is clear. No matter where you come from, no matter how impossible your dreams seem, you have the power to create your destiny. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson doesn't just entertain. He transforms, motivates, and leads, proving that one person's journey can spark the courage of millions. The legacy lives on. The sun sets over the horizon, casting a golden glow on the life of a man who has become larger than any single role, ring or stage. Dwayne Johnson, known to the world as The Rock, stands as a living testament to resilience, discipline, and unwavering courage. From a boy with $7 in his pocket, from nights of doubt and heartbreak to arenas of roaring fans and Hollywood glory, his journey is nothing short of extraordinary. But it's not the fame or fortune that defines him. It's the lessons he leaves behind. Dwayne's story reminds us that life will knock you down. It will test your patience, your willpower, and your heart. There will be moments when failure feels permanent, when dreams seem shattered, and when the world seems indifferent. Yet, in every challenge lies a choice: to surrender or to rise. Dwayne chose to rise every single time. He teaches us that success is not a straight path. It's a winding journey of reinvention. He turned disappointment into opportunity, setbacks into comebacks, and obstacles into stepping stones. Don't be afraid to fail, he often says. Be afraid of not trying. Be afraid of not giving it everything you've got. This relentless mindset is what transformed a young man from a struggling football player into a wrestling icon, a global superstar, a businessman, and a source of inspiration to millions. Beyond the accomplishments, Dwayne's heart shines brightest. His devotion to family, his humility despite fame, and his willingness to lift others up show that true greatness is measured not by what you achieve alone, but by the lives you touch and the impact you leave behind. And now, as the story of his journey reaches this cinematic finale, the message is clear. Your past does not define you. Your struggles do not determine your destiny. The fire within you, the passion, the drive, the resilience is stronger than any obstacle life can throw at you. Dwayne Johnson's life is a living blueprint for courage, hard work, and heart. He proves that no matter how small your beginnings, no matter how many times you fall, you can rise, you can dream, you can inspire, you can leave a legacy. So take this with you. Be relentless, be brave, be kind, and never forget, the legacy of a Titan isn't just about who he was. It's about who he inspires you to become. The Rock's story doesn't end here. It lives on in every heartbeat, every effort, and every dream waiting to rise.